Can you lend me some money to go to the hospital? My 8-year-old grandson, Andrew, came to our house in the middle of the night. Moreover, he was limping painfully. It takes over an hour to walk to our place from his home, even for an adult. What on earth happened? His body was covered in scrapes, bleeding here and there. Overcome with fatigue and pain, Andrew's eyes were vacant, as if he might collapse at any moment. Absolutely not, my husband yelled at the innocent child. Then, in a fit of anger, he stormed off somewhere. What followed was an unexpected action from my husband that left me both physically and emotionally shaken. I'm Claire, 60 years old, living with my husband. Our son's family lives in the next town over, about an hour's walk from our house. The public transportation is poor, making a car essential for travel. My DIL, Aubrey, is 6 years younger than my son, Walker, and they have an 8-year-old son, Andrew. Up until now, Walker often brought Andrew to visit me, allowing me to take care of him since he was a baby. Aubrey rarely visited, preferring to stay at home, and I had told my son to bring Andrew over whenever possible. Aubrey seemed dedicated to household chores and parenting duties, wanting to create more free time for herself. Moreover, Walker expressed satisfaction with their family life, praising Aubrey's domesticity and dedication. So I thought, this is not something I should interfere with as a mother. I convinced myself to let them do as they please, but I never imagined such a tragedy would strike us afterward. It was half a year ago when my son, Walker, got a promotion and was assigned to work abroad. Being a doting father, Walker wanted to move abroad with his family, not wanting to be apart from them for even a moment. However, Aubrey put a stop to that idea. Andrew has already started elementary school and has made friends. It would be too cruel to make him change schools now. Of course, Walker tried to persuade her. But Aubrey insisted, and with a heavy heart, Walker left for overseas alone. And sadly, at the same time, Andrew's visits to our house completely stopped. Despite my repeated pleas to Aubrey to let me see Andrew, she always found excuses to refuse. Still not giving up, I begged over the phone just to see his face for a moment. Aubrey, raising her voice, lashed out at me. It's hard enough without my husband here, and now I have to worry about you too. I can't take it. Are you trying to monitor me? No, that's not it at all. I just wanted to see Andrew's face for a short moment at the doorstep. Can't you understand I don't want that? If you keep pestering me, I'll tell Walker and have him scold you. After saying that, Aubrey abruptly ended the call. It seems like nothing I say will make a difference. Maybe this is just how DIL is. I was informed by email from Walker that his new position was demanding, and he was losing sleep over it. Not wanting to cause him any additional worry, I decided to wait until his return to see Andrew. It had been more than half a year since I last saw Andrew. To cope with our loneliness, my husband, Nathan, and I would look at photos of Andrew every day. Nathan's favorite was a group photo from Andrew's school entrance ceremony. Nathan said Andrew's nervous face was adorable. One evening, around 9 o'clock at night, the doorbell suddenly rang, so I opened the front door. Can you lend me some money to go to the hospital? To my surprise, there was my 8-year-old grandson, Andrew. What happened? My foot hurts so much I can't sleep, so I decided to go to the hospital by myself. But this is all I have. When Andrew slowly opened his hand, there were 3 10-cent coins. Apparently, he had walked over an hour to get here, limping, with pain. I fell down on the way, he said, showing his knees, scraped, and bleeding. But no matter how much I thought about it, I couldn't make sense of the situation. Trying to understand, I invited Andrew inside. That's when Nathan, who had been silent until then, suddenly spoke up. Absolutely not. What are you saying? You're out of your mind. Our grandson is in trouble. I was so angry at Nathan's cold attitude that I grabbed his sweatshirt with both hands and shook him. However, Nathan pushed my hands away with great force and stormed out of the house without a word. It's because I came. I'm sorry. I'll just go home. Andrew, completely deflated, turned around and reached for the doorknob. Andrew, don't worry about Grandpa. Grandma will take you to the hospital, so there's no need to worry. I immediately called an ambulance and at the same time tried to contact Aubrey. But she never answered my call, and she didn't even read my messages. About 20 minutes later, while we were waiting, the paramedics finally arrived. Andrew was taken to a nearby hospital, and I accompanied him in the ambulance. Afterward, Andrew was diagnosed with a fracture by the doctor. He received treatment and was advised to rest at home. What could Aubrey be doing at a time like this? At this point, I still couldn't get in touch with Aubrey, so I decided to take Andrew back to our house. Would you like something warm to drink? Oh, I remember you like tea with honey. I'll prepare it right now, so Andrew, please, sit in that chair and wait. As soon as we got home, I filled the kettle with water and turned on the stove. Then, Andrew suddenly came over to me. Oh dear, you need to stay seated. It's not that, Grandma. I just want to tell you something. At that moment, I was about to learn a shocking truth from Andrew. After confessing everything, Andrew had tears welling up in his eyes. So that's what happened. It must have been tough, but you're safe now. I hugged him tightly, trying to comfort him. Later, I would be informed of an event by an unexpected person. Those responsible for making Andrew feel this way won't get away with it. A flame of vengeance began to burn within me. By noon the next day, Aubrey finally answered her phone. Andrew broke his leg and has been seen at the hospital. Now, he's staying at our place. Apparently, keeping him home to rest and feeding him nutritious food will help him recover faster. Well then, why don't you take care of Andrew for a while? You must be happy to take care of your grandson after not seeing him for so long, right? I simply responded, understood, and then hung up. I had no intention of sending Andrew back to that house. Even if Aubrey had said she was coming to pick him up, I was determined to keep Andrew by my side, so her response was exactly what I had hoped for. However, her attitude as a mother angered me. But I didn't want to risk ruining my plans by getting unnecessarily confrontational. In between supporting Andrew, I started making preparations for retribution. Just you wait. Today, I'll make them regret it. 1 week after Andrew came to my home, I left Andrew at home and went with someone to see Aubrey at her home. What are you doing here all of a sudden? I'm troubled by your unexpected visit. Please leave. I had borrowed a key of her house from Andrew. Aubrey was making a fuss, but I ignored her and looked around the room. Was someone here just before we arrived? I noticed that although the room was mostly tidy, the bedroom sheets were unusually messy. Enough is enough. I'm calling the police. Oh, Aubrey, I don't think you have any right to say that. I've heard everything from Andrew. Leaving him alone and going out night after night. Damn. I strictly told him not to tell anyone. The heartbreaking story I heard from Andrew the other day was about Aubrey. According to Andrew, one day, feeling lonely and sick, he tried to stop Aubrey from going out at night, and yet, you pushed Andrew aside and went out anyway. He hurt his ankle when he fell. Andrew was always told by Aubrey, don't tell Dad or anyone about what happens at home, or you'll go without dinner. But that day, the pain was unbearable, and Andrew fought. Maybe my grandparents, who are always kind, could help me. Relying on his memory, he dragged his painful leg all the way to our house. If you have money to buy designer goods, you should take him to the hospital. When I opened the closet, it was packed with obviously expensive bags and clothes. Andrew had confided in me that Mom always has beautiful clothes and bags, but she doesn't care about me. It was clear that Aubrey's belongings were full of flashy luxury items. Walker's absence has been so hard, so I was shopping to distract myself. So, your son is also to blame. Aubrey, veins bulging with anger, pointed at me. Then, at that moment, a deep, resonant voice boomed from behind me. Shut up. I saw the infidelity with my own eyes. The voice belonged to Nathan. He had come with me to Aubrey's house. The day Andrew came to us for help, Nathan shouted, "Absolutely not," and stormed off, which initially made me angry. But his anger was directed at Aubrey. Overwhelmed with emotion, he had blurted out those words, without thinking. Nathan had actually gone straight to Aubrey's house. I saw you getting into a car driven by a man. And he was Andrew's first grade teacher. Nathan remembered the teacher's face from looking at Andrew's school entry photo every day. After Andrew confided in me, I was informed by the affair between Aubrey and Andrew's former teacher. I heard from the teacher that you were always wearing revealing clothes to parent-teacher conferences and aggressively flirting with him. Following my husband's testimony, I confronted the teacher at the school. According to the teacher, he knew it was wrong but succumbed to Aubrey's advances when Andrew went to the next grade and assigned to a different class. The teacher expressed regret and readily agreed to pay compensation. He had already submitted his resignation and promised never to meet Aubrey again, planning to return to his hometown, saying it was for the child's sake, but in reality, you just didn't want to leave that man, did you? Well, I asked Aubrey, who planned up if she did not take Andrew to the hospital because she thought it would be bad if it was discovered that she had pushed him and injured him. I also told her that she probably didn't take Andrew to the hospital because she was worried Walker, who dotes on his family, would find out and possibly divorce her. It seems I hit the nail on the head. Aubrey couldn't hide her agitation, looking around nervously. But after a moment, she defiantly claimed, if I cry to Walker, he will surely forgive me. He's head over heels for me. Aubrey, enough is enough. What, Walker? When did you get back? Walker, who had been informed by me, had hurriedly returned to witness the truth for himself. Fearing that Aubrey might put on an act in his presence, Walker had been secretly watching the whole scene. I've heard everything. I can't forgive you. Your behavior towards my parents was atrocious. We're getting a divorce. Wait, just a moment. It was just a momentary lapse. Besides, Andrew is only 8. He needs me. I just visited him at the hospital, and he said he doesn't need a mom like you anymore. Even after receiving a final blow from Walker, Aubrey profusely apologized and stubbornly hoped for reconciliation. However, Walker firmly refused. Then Aubrey, with bared teeth and sharp eyes, turned to me. This is all your fault. How are you going to take responsibility for him leaving me? You brought this upon yourself. Plus, I heard you only ever saw Walker as a cash cow. I had been sniffing around for any dirt on Aubrey, based on the wedding guest list, and I'll make sure to inform your parents about this, so be prepared. Please don't. My dad hates dishonesty. If they find out, they'll disown me. Then who will take care of me? You're an adult. Why don't you work for yourself? No way. I've been living a comfortable life as a housewife, on Walker's salary all this time. The thought of working now is just too miserable for me. Despite her blatant selfishness, both Nathan and Walker were too appalled to speak. You should suffer and reflect on your actions. Can't something be done? I'm sorry, I truly regret it. You're the only one I can turn to now. Aubrey begged tearfully for forgiveness. However, I simply looked at her coldly, offering no response. Perhaps thinking this was her last resort, she began begging me, repeatedly crying out, I'm so sorry. Please help me. Walker reached out to you for help many times, and you ignored him every time. Trying to save yourself now is just too convenient. Hearing my words, Aubrey broke down crying, but I remained unmoved and kicked her out of the house. Following that, the divorce between Walker and Aubrey was finalized, and she was ordered to pay compensation of $30,000. Her affair partner, the former teacher, was also ordered to pay compensation of $10,000. Aubrey started working full-time to pay compensation, but she was quickly fired from her job due to her selfish nature. Currently, she is juggling part-time jobs in road construction and cleaning. While Walker still needs to work abroad, he promised to return home as much as possible to see Andrew. Until Walker returns, we, as grandparents, are taking care of Andrew. We're truly happy to witness his growth and bridge the gap that had formed from not being able to see him before.